I'm Dr. Swanee Jett, and I've had a passion for public health for over 30 years. Now I'm in a position to affect change, and these are the critical conversations about health and our community, with people who can help me make those changes. Good morning and welcome to part 2 of CEO of Live Talks. I have Mr. Daryle Unseld here, and we're going to get into some great conversations. So if you go back in your history, talk about some of the decisions you made that you would undo if you could, and some that you made that were great.
Really focusing on, or I'll start with some of the decisions that I made that I wish I could undo. And I think about this all the time. I would have been more serious about my academic endeavors when I was younger. Now, it all worked out, went to college, got an MBA and all that. But I would have been more serious about that because it would have opened up even more opportunities for me. To me, that's one of the biggest things. I would have got more serious earlier, and I think that's one of the things I always talk about when I talk to young people. Like, the decisions, everything you said, the decisions you make now are going to impact the rest of your life, whether you know that.
And a lot of people don't really recognize. Let's say you get drafted, you play in the NFL, right? If you're not a superstar, your base salary might be $300,000 or $400,000 a year.
Yep.
NFL players last 4 years.
Yep.
So you've made 1.6 million, right? You don't have a degree. Now, if you're a CEO, you're running an organization, you might make $200,000 or $300,000 a year, but you make that for 20 to 30 years.
Exactly.
You supersede anything that NFL player has made.
Yep.
Right? And that's the choice that you give a kid and planting the seed.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. Have a plan A, have a plan B, have a plan C. You don't make it in sports. Maybe I could have the same lifestyle as if I was a professional player, if I dedicate myself to this education, and then look for the career that I might like.
Yeah.
So it's a passion.
It's a passion too, and something else you just triggered a thought of mine too. Even you think about like these young brothers coming out, getting to the league. Their earning cycle is completely backwards from the rest of the world, right? They are a lot of times, going to be making more money in the start of their career than they will down the road,
right?
And they're doing this without much life experience. Definitely not enough financial literacy.
Correct.
Behind that.
Right.
I mean, you and I, as seasoned citizens now know that the financial decisions we make now were not the financial decisions we made 25 years ago.
Right.
But I think it's vitally important that, again, young people understand that and they can course correct along the way because, I mean, we see a lot of examples of some former athletes, making it, but we see more examples of going broke 2 or 3 years after their playing days are over with. I mean,
it's scary.
It is scary, But so I think that's a huge issue. That's one of the reasons why I say I think me taking my academic endeavors a whole lot more seriously than I did would help me. On the flip side, I think one of the best decisions that I ever made in my life was to join the military.
Okay.
That was another institution that I think that really allowed me to see what was possible.
Right.
From being able to leave this small city and understanding like there's a lot of big things out here. Being able to have access to people who had done more things, being able to see what a college education would yield long term. I always go back to one of the stories. Like one of the best mentors I ever had in my life was he was a Fulbright colonel. He was a pilot, stealth pilot, F-117.
Okay.
And I had the opportunity to work for him. I got accepted to officer training school and had an opportunity to work for him. And he comes to me one day. He was like, "Daryle, you're really a smart guy. Have you just thought about going back to get your master's degree?" I literally had never even thought about it. I was like, "No."
Right.
I remember he bought me the study guide, and I took the GMAT or whatever it was at the time, and really took a liking to him because he saw the potential in me. But having that exposure to people that I never ever would have came across in my life, people from different walks of life, was really, really a great decision. And like I tell folks, it's institutions like the Boys and Girls Club, U.S. Air Force, and others. I don't think there's a silver bullet, but definitely silver buckshots that go together to help young people and young adults reach their full potential.
But it's I've done this in my career, and I've identified somebody or people. I see where they are now, but I see the potential. And what I find with leaders, sometimes especially in the older generation, they're afraid to pour into people because they're afraid that person might supersede them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So to me, that's what you put on earth for. Why must you take all the knowledge with you and die?
More importantly, how are we preparing the next generation?
Right. Like, you're supposed to prepare people, even people around you that's in the organization, to supersede you. If you don't do that, you're failing.
Well, you said something before we got on camera. I was like, wow. And I won't go into specifics, but you said, I don't want anybody to leave my organization working for me that does not get better.
Right. Right. Number one, if you come to work for me, I feel it's my job to make sure you're prepared if you want to step into the next role. Right? Otherwise, I haven't done my job. Oftentimes in my career, I've seen people get elevated too soon.
Oh, yeah.
And they fail.
Yep.
And they don't understand that there's a lot of work going on background. Like, talking on a TV show, there's probably a lot of notes I took somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
There's probably some study that I did on somebody's background.
Yeah.
There's a flow and a way to do business. You just don't show up and get on camera and start talking about stuff.
Absolutely.
No, it don't work like that. Or you got a speaking engagement. You got to do talking points. You have to do research on that subject, right? You just don't go into it. To me, leadership is the same thing. You got to continuously train your mind.
Yep.
But also, you got to bring people along the path to see the vision. And it was great somebody poured into you because somebody has to identify that talent. You have to be receptive to be able to go do the work, right, to get better. And, I sit back now and wonder, okay, you see kids today and they come into the Boys and Girls Club. What is one foundational thing that you can give to them? Because I know choices would be mine, right? Because as I go talk to you, it's that. But is that going to be sufficient enough? What is your opinion? Or is there, I asked Ms. Johnson this yesterday, is there a dollar amount that will help solve some of the societal problems with you?
That's a tough question. I'll go back to your first question in terms of what they would get. I mean, at the bare minimum, they will get a safe place. They will be exposed to enrichment and academic opportunities that they may not have had access to. One of the reasons I always tout the Boys and Girls Club mission and the movement is because we are located within close proximity of the neighborhoods where you don't need any additional resources to get there.
Right.
Typically, you can walk
Right.
to the club, right? So that's what I think that they get out of it. In terms of a dollar amount, that's really, really tough question, because I think, again, going back to the totality of issues that are needed to solve so many societal ills. Mm-hmm. But what I will say is that our community, Louisville, has failed to invest in youth-serving organizations at the same pace and rate of many of our peer cities.
Okay.
There was a Safer Cities report that came out about 6 months ago that talked a little bit about the uptick in gun violence, how gun violence affects young people. And then there was also a statistic in that report that compared Louisville to 15 other peer cities around the country in terms of what they are investing in youth serving organizations and the infrastructure. And Louisville ranked 14 out of 15.
I believe it.
So, we are literally reaping the harvest of that lack of investment into youth serving organizations and other needed services by our young people. So I am not surprised by the data that we seen in that Safer Cities report, but it's just like you said before, like, do we want to invest in the preventative measures or
right.
I mean, we're spending the money either way, right? And, coming out of the pandemic, coming out of this real movement around social justice, we have a real opportunity to reinvent our community. And I think, again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, we have to be preparing the next generation for these opportunities. Right. And the data confirms that it's not happening at a pace and rate that is going to guarantee that our next generation is ready.
Hi, my name is Farron Jackson. This is Shakoya Gurton, and we're both medical assistants here at Polk Duval Women's Health. We specialize in pregnant women, mammograms, ultrasound, and any vaginal complaint. So we offer free pregnancy tests. We offer glucose testing for our patients who are 27 weeks pregnant, We offer mammograms if they need one, if they find any lumps in their breast, and we also offer ultrasound if there's any abdominal pain or a pregnant patient. It's important for our women to keep up with their bodies, because if they was to have a lump in their breast and they don't perform monthly, everyday breast check, it could be a lump there that may need a mammogram, and we could catch it just in case it's cancerous. You could contact us at pdchc.org, or you could call 502-774-4401, extension 1142.
I think when we look at how we spend money, because, if you talk to a financial person or accountant, they really don't understand the preventive benefit. But there should be some return on investment for what we invest. And that's how I try to explain to people. Like 1% of the U.S., the budget come out of OMG is put toward public health, right? But that's your foundational support for the whole system.
Right.
From, nice parks to food served in schools to inspection of restaurants to inspection of your water system, pools. But you're only spending 1%, right? But $30 billion is going into research, right?
Right.
And we still don't have a cure for cancer. But I won't go there.
Yeah, right. But it's also this notion too, and when those experts that come up with this financial analysis, say 1%, first of all, a lot of them don't have the lived experience.
Right.
And, when they, as well as I do, when they are, making these budgets, they are sometimes focused on equality and not equity.
Right.
And don't have any idea of this concept called targeted universalism, where you should be investing more in communities and people who need more.
Right.
And I use this analogy all the time. Like, we have kids that come into our clubs every day who are hungry. We could just be sure that they can eat while they're at the club to take care of the immediate need for hunger. But oftentimes we're sending food home with them, so they'll have it later. And that's what I mean. Like, it's just not fair to give each kid a sandwich because they're hungry at the time. Right. But how do we prevent them from being hungry tonight or in the morning, right? So I think this concept of targeted universalism needs to be implemented in, many of the financial analyses that we know, and they have to realign the budgets to meet,
to meet the need.
And in many cases, that's not happening. You've been around a long time, like I have, and a lot of times we're seeing it in real time right now. Like, a lot of the social services are literally being cut.
Right.
For what folks are calling, like, to invest in future business.
Right. But
at the end of the day, where are you going to get the workforce to lead these industries if we're not properly investing in young people who are ultimately going to be put in these positions down the road?
All right. Tell me a little bit about all the programs or services you provide, because a lot of people are probably not aware.
No. I always like to say that the Boys and Girls Club is well known, but not known well. Many folks confuse us with a community center, and I would say we are absolutely not a community center. We provide wraparound services, academic enrichment, recreational services, social services for the families, that typically they wouldn't be able to get anywhere else. And what we do know is that young people and families that do take advantage of the services a lot of times come out a lot better. Now, I go back to, the Boys and Girls Club is not the silver bullet, but it's damn sure a silver buckshot in terms of helping young people and families, to have better life outcomes, better life outcomes in general.
And how many locations you have? So
we have 4 locations right now. We have a brick and mortar clubs in Newburgh, Parkland area, 32nd and Greenwood, Shawnee area, right at Jewel Park. Earlier this year, we opened a new Boys and Girls Club in the California neighborhood at the St. Stephen's Family Life Center. And here in a few months, we'll be opening up 2 more sites in the city. I can't publicly say where now, but we are literally, Dr. Jett, increasing our footprint in this community to serve more young people. Period. That's my whole.
That's needed. I've been to every site.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
over time, I've been to every site.
Yeah.
So how many boys and girls do you serve?
Typically, we serve about 600 to 700 kids a day.
Okay, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
How do you determine, to build a new site? What's your catch basin? Is it?
So, believe it or not, we get great support from our national affiliate, the Boys and Girls Club of America.
Okay.
So, me being a local affiliate CEO, I can't just say, "Oh, there's a vacant building over there. We're going to open up a new Boys and Girls Club." It is driven by data. So how it works is that I have to provide the Boys and Girls Club of America with a site or address or location. So they run the demographical data and see if this would be a good site based on age, demographics, number of households in a particular area, and they come back and they say, okay, well, this particular location could be approved for a club.
Is income, education?
Yep, income, those are the demographics they look at too.
So it's similar to how we determine where to put another community health center.
It's absolutely the same process.
Right. Okay. Because I usually look at MUA numbers, which is medically underserved. Or health professionals, limited amount of health professionals in the area, not enough doctors or MDs or APRNs, et cetera, and income.
Yep.
Right. So, we take commercial insurance, but we also make sure we have a sliding fee scale for people that don't have insurance.
Hello, my name is Sierra Clark, and I'm the Chronic Disease Manager at Park Duval Community Health Center. Ever since I started at Park Duval over 9 years ago, I have been committed to helping patients live healthier lifestyles. I am currently serving patients in the Chronic Care Management Program, or CCM program. My team and I help patients manage their chronic conditions such as obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. In this CCM program, you will receive several benefits to help you manage your health. We offer monthly telephone calls to check in with your progress and to assist you with any concerns, assistance with scheduling your healthcare appointments, and assistance with filling your prescriptions in a timely and convenient manner. We also offer many resources to help you with the barriers you may face with eating healthy, being physically active, or monitoring your conditions at home. For more information, visit us online at pdchc.org or visit one of our health centers.
This episode of CEO Live Talks is brought to you by Park National Bank. Pay with confidence. Your Park debit card is the fast, safe, smart way to pay this holiday season. Get more details online at parknationalbank.com.
We built a conversation on the premise of a foundation of a 2-parent household, right? So maybe the first step is we have identified the youth that need that social support, and we have it on site, right? We know that some kids might have difficulties in learning, and we have it on site. We know that if it's not a total family structure of support, that maybe somehow we fix the wages so they're livable.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
Right? And then we make sure that the environment is conducive for learning. We make sure that nobody is starving, right? They have adequate food to concentrate. Or maybe we just talking about that they have the opportunities to be Mr. Daryle Unseld and Dr. Jett. Because we've had the opportunities, but we've also had the opportunities to take them.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And maybe we need to start there.
Yeah. And I think about too something that we talked about, but we didn't name it. We're talking about a village. Mm-hmm. We're talking about a village.
We're talking about a village.
And I think in many cases we don't have a lot of those villages that we had access to back in the day. And I think it's a tremendous opportunity to make some intentional and strategic investment in the village. And when I say that, it's just, as well as I know, it's not just about the young people, but how do we, support the family?
Right.
Because the reality of it is, and what I see too, Dr. Jett, is we have a lot of young parents out there. Mm-hmm. A lot of young parents out there. I mean, it's just, I'm often taken aback by when I see a young mother, sometimes she's, 22, 23 years old. She might have 2 or 3 kids. And as well as I know, she don't have the life experience. Mm.
So one last question for you. And I've respected you for a long time.
And likewise,
I remember you at Metro United Way.
Yep, likewise, brother.
So what is the future? Where are you leading Boys and Girls Club? Let everybody know. And plus, add the number at the end or the website where you can donate.
Yep. In terms of where we're going at the Boys and Girls Club, I truly believe and have made it my personal mission that, we want all young people that are supported by our mission to reach their most worthiest aspirations. Mm-hmm. We personally believe that all young people deserve to be the architects of their own conditions. They deserve the right of self-determination. And we know that participating in programs at the Boys and Girls Club is an opportunity for them to get there. Where you can donate to the Boys and Girls Club, which is vitally important, because too often, as we spoke a little bit about earlier, you serving organizations or nonprofits, you run a nonprofit too, we're often trying to piecemeal resources together to do what I call the Lord's work. Mm-hmm. And I ask folks, to consider, making a donation to your favorite charity, whether that be obviously I'm advocating for the Boys and Girls Club. Right. You can make that donation at www.bgcky.org. But even if you don't have the financial means to do that, I ask that you give back some of your time and talent. The Boys and Girls Club has an immense alumni network. I need folks just to be an advocate for the club and be able to, whether it's come on your show or talk about what the club did for them. But we are certainly moving in a direction where we want to serve more young people and increase our footprint in this community. And we need all the support to do that.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in to the show today. I want to thank Mr. Unseld and also Boys and Girls Club. Enjoy.